All right, bottom of the hour now. We are back on the news desk, and as the year wraps up, it is the perfect time now for you to review your insurance coverage. Today, we're joined by Beth Swanson, insurance analyst at thezebra.com, to share some practical year-end tips for homeowners and drivers to save money and to stay protected. Beth, welcome back to the news desk. Thank you for your time today.
Of course. Hi, Jay. Happy to be back.
Beth, why is the end of the year an ideal time for insurance checkups?
Well, it's a natural checkpoint. We've had a big year, life changes, rising costs on things. So that end of the year is just a great time to just kind of take stock of what coverage you have and evaluate if
hmm
it's enough going forward into 2026.
Okay, so we're talking about this now. Your home increases in value, your car decreases in value each year. So,
Right.
you've got to kind of look at that, right? Is that what we're thinking?
Yes, and one of the big things that I'm sure anyone who's either bought a house, done renovations, or just paid attention to some of the increases this past year, that the building price of homes is going up. The materials are more expensive, labor is
hmm
more expensive. So that's one of the things that's important to consider on your dwelling coverage. If something happens, do you have the same coverage limits you had 10, 15 years ago? Or do they reflect the current building prices? If something were to, if your house were to burn down, then you would want to make sure you had the correct coverage in place to get you back to where you are today.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk. First step, what should someone do when they're looking to do an insurance checkup? What's that first step they need to take?
Look at your coverage and don't just look at the price too. Think about, is there enough coverage to rebuild my home? If we're talking homeowners insurance specifically, a good way to kind of think about that is figure out what your price per square foot for new builds is and in your area. And then you can calculate that by your square footage to see if you've got about enough to rebuild should the worst happen. And again, don't look at just that final price because you want to compare your coverage line by line and make sure you're getting the same thing for your money.
Okay. What are some common mistakes that people make when reviewing home policies?
Mhm. One thing I do want to make sure I point out to our viewers here is that check your deductible. A lot of the flat fee deductibles have been changing to percentage based deductibles, especially in
Yeah.
areas with high elevated natural hazard risk. And that's
hmm
really easy to miss. You may not always get notified if your deductible goes from 2,500, for example, to 2%. That can be a huge difference that people don't always expect if they file a claim.
Yeah, that's that's quite a jump, isn't it?
It's a big difference.
2,500 to
Yes, it can be a
25,000
shocker.
possibly. Yeah, no
Exactly.
doubt.
Yes. And forgetting to add renovations and structures too. If you've, upgraded your kitchen, your bathroom, if you've added an addition to the home, or even a gazebo, a new fence, a garage, things like that, you want to make sure that that is also part of your policy. So it's covered as well.
Beth, how would somebody, if, without hiring an appraiser, how do they figure that
Mhm.
out?
Local contractors are a great resource too. Most of them can provide ballpark rebuild numbers for you.
hmm
And again, you can do a little bit of research online to figure out what rebuild costs are in your area per square foot, multiply that by the size of your home. And that does give you a good place to start when you look at your dwelling coverage.
Okay. How do life milestones like paying off a mortgage or retiring impact your insurance needs?
Mhm. Paying off your mortgage does not reduce your risk. So that's important to consider too if you've gotten to that point in life. Don't lower your coverage or it might backfire. Just because a mortgage company may not have certain limits that you have to fulfill doesn't mean you want to
hmm
risk losing what you've worked for. Retirement can also mean some more travel, more guests at home. Maybe you're doing some of those things to your home that you've put off for years, like adding a pool or a gazebo or something like that. You want to make sure you're covered. And a lot of retirees will have, a vacation home or an RV, other assets that they've worked hard throughout their life to acquire. That's a good time to look into umbrella coverage as well to protect their assets in retirement.
Okay. Let's switch to auto insurance now. Are there
Mhm.
aftermarket features or safety upgrades that can help lower some auto premiums?
Yeah, the nice thing about newer vehicles is most of them come equipped with things like alarms and backup cameras, but safety and anti theft features can help reduce your premiums. It may be modest of a savings, but every little penny helps.
Hmm.
And consider when you're buying a new car too, to think about what vehicles you're purchasing. If you're going for a sports car, that's going to cost you more to insure. Thinking about a reliable, safe vehicle that's a few years older is typically going to have lower costs to insure than something new and flashy. But you can also look at those safety features. Telematics is also something to keep in mind, and I think most people are probably familiar with that term these days. It's the apps that can track your good driving habits, and it's an easy way
Okay.
to save off the top of your up the top of your premium.
Is that in lieu of the little thing that some insurance companies stick in the car and that feeds back, or is that the same thing?
That's what we're talking about. Sometimes it's an app and sometimes it is a device. It kind of depends on
Okay.
which company and what they're offering. I think most of them have moved from the device to the app these days.
Mm.
So it does mean, some permissions on your phone, but it's fairly low lift as far as changes go that can save you money.
Yeah, I mean that's some real time information, isn't it?
Yes, and if you're a safe driver, if you go the speed limit and you're braking appropriately, not driving at 2 a.m., those are some of the things that they'll look for, and you can get rewarded 5-10% even for driving safely and having that tracked to your insurance company.
Okay, when does it make sense to adjust liability, collision, or comprehensive coverage?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you have teenage drivers, that's a great time to address it too. Any new additions to the family, any new vehicles. If you have, moved to an area that has higher rates of uninsured drivers, that's another good time to address your coverage because naturally, if you're in a more populated area, there's going to be more risk on
Hmm.
the road, things like that. And as things continue to get more expensive for Americans, there may be less coverage for other people. So if they don't have the right coverage and they hit you, you want to make sure you're protected with under or uninsured motorist coverage too. That's an important one to consider.
Okay, what's the best way, Beth, to decide between raising deductibles versus lowering coverage?
Yeah, that's an easy one to change your monthly payment. If you up your deductible, it means you get a lower monthly payment, but consider if you have a claim, would you be able to come up with that deductible amount out of pocket? That can also
Hmm.
be big sticker shock for someone if they have a claim. Suddenly they have to come up with $2,500 or $1,000, and not everyone just has that sitting around to pay a claim. So you got to weigh those risks of can I pay a little bit more a month for a lower deductible, or is it worth adjusting to have that lower monthly payment?
What are some of the biggest money saving opportunities that drivers are overlooking at renewal time?
Mhm. The telematics, as we mentioned, taking advantage of those apps if you're a safe driver, and making sure that you're bundling. There are plenty of us that have, a home insurance with one company or renter's insurance, but that's not necessarily the same company as your auto insurance.
Hmm.
And if you bundle those, you're typically going to get a discount from most companies. And just be sure to shop around. I know it takes a little bit of time, and it's kind of one of those annoying little life chores that nobody really wants to do, but it can save you a lot of money. Loyalty doesn't always pay, so taking a few minutes to jump online or contact an independent broker can save you a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. When you think about that, how often should a person be looking? I mean, once a year, end of the year,
Mhm.
maybe twice a year. Should we do it every 6 months when you're up renewing?
Ideally, yes. I'm guilty of not doing that myself, though. Too. It's easy to just auto renew and keep going. But the end of the year, like I said, it's a great time to just take stock of how much have I spent this year on car insurance or home insurance, and is it worth
Hmm.
looking around? Coming up to your renewal policy period, whenever that happens throughout the year, it's a great time to get quotes and shop around a little bit, especially if you've got an independent broker or a comparison website that doesn't take too long and they can do it pretty quickly for you.
All right, Beth. As we wrap up here, if someone has only 30 minutes to do an insurance checkup before the year's end, what are some of your top three things that they should prioritize, whether it be home and auto?
Yeah, I would confirm your coverage limits and make sure that they still make sense today. Like we talked about the home values and build costs. See if your deductible has changed because you might not always get notified if it has switched from a flat fee to a percentage amount. And make sure you've updated your insurer on any life, home, driving changes. For instance, one that can be an issue if you file a claim is a divorce or a death in the family. If your insurance company isn't notified about that, that can cause a major headache if you do go to submit a claim down the line. So just checking over your coverage and updating your insurance company with any other changes that you've had in your life this year.
Fantastic. Good information. Beth Swanson, insurance analyst at thezebra.com. Thank you so much for the insight today, Beth. I sure appreciate it in helping our viewers save some money. Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Jay. You as well.
Thank you. All right, quick break here at the news desk. We'll be right back on KFYR Plus.